So I'm in Times Square, first week we get to New York, and I got this big thing on, and you know, people like it, people have a good time with it. It's not that crazy, because next to me is the naked cowboy, who I think people would rather go talk to than me. Maybe I should work out. And then next to him was a bunch of NYPD. And of all the people that respond to my name tag in New York, it's NYPD. They love it. And so I got this big double-sided thing on this, you know, Jersey, New York guy comes up to me. He goes, "Scott, huh? That's good. Now we know who we're dealing with." And then just like walks away. And like I said, I got a million of these little moments, and it always makes me laugh, makes me smile, but makes me think. And I think that's the key, because what he said, sure, he's a cop, but think about the skepticism we've been talking about in the customers, what's going through their mind. People are skeptical. They're looking for a reason not to trust you. That default posture, anyone who gets online, it's like, I'm just waiting for them to screw up so I can get upset, find someone else. And people are at a deficit position, so our goal, anything we can do to verify ourselves immediately, as soon as possible, is always worthwhile. That's the advantage of wearing a name tag wherever I go. I'm always just like laying it out. It's just a small piece of self-disclosure, but there's never any question. That must be Scott. And it's amazing how much closer that brings us to each other. Approachability means to reduce the distance between people. And so if we can do this, if we can verify ourselves, we win. So there's some signs, there's some plans that we can be using. And when you look at business growth, it's usually a business plan. Anyone have it? How many of you, this is maybe a better question, how many of you did not have a business plan when you started? Yeah, I'm with you, me neither. Never had a business plan. I had a visibility plan, and that turned out to be pretty helpful. And so the visibility plan, it comes back to something I learned in marketing. When I was studying marketing in college, we read about this article from 1957. This is the New York Herald Tribune. I think this guy got fired for God knows what. And they did an article in 57, a few years before I was born, about marketing. And this would go on to become one of the most famous business editorials of all time because of the headline. I never actually read the article, but you don't need to. The headline's this good. It said, "Doing business without marketing is like winking in the dark." Because you know what you're doing, but it doesn't matter how good you look, how talented you are, how amazing the quality is. If people can't see it, you lose. So how visible are you? How are you making people aware of you? That's why visibility buys the belief. That skepticism that people have, the more they see you or some version of your name, that buys the belief you need. So now it's 2012. This is, I don't know, 1957. Is that 65 years? Sure. 65 years later, a few things are different, as we saw in the USA Today. Now, versus in the 50s, the print media advertising Mad Men age, now it's different. Now nobody notices normal, nobody buys boring, and nobody pays for average. Nobody notices normal, nobody buys boring, nobody pays for average. So positioning any business offering in that way, that's an immediate loss. And so the question is, if you're normal, if you're boring, if what you do is average, it's like asking clients to find a needle in a stack of needles. Are you a needle? How are you making people aware of you? That's the big question. I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Sammy. As you can tell, his job is a accountant. No, he's not a balloon artist, though. He has a unique niche within this world, because I just assumed by looking at him, oh, it must be a balloon artist. Nope, he's a landscaper. He does balloon installations at conference centers like this place, like in Planet Hollywood. He would do a whole thing here. He sets up these entire gardens, these homes, these neighborhoods. It takes him a week to do this stuff. He's got big lungs. And he sets this whole thing up. You can walk through these things. There's no smoking, but you can go through it, and that's what he does. And that's Sammy J. There's his logo. This is amazing. So like these things, that's like his business card. He just does that for fun, just to give to kids and have a good time, and that's his thing. So I did a presentation several years ago back in St. Louis, and he was there. I think he had donated a bunch of balloons to a charity auction. Pretty cool. So I get an email from him after, maybe 3 or 4 hours after the speech was over. Scott, it's Sammy. I met you. over at the Chamber of Commerce. I thought you might like to see an example of my work. Go ahead, open the picture. Now, on the internet, when someone says, go ahead, open the picture, I'm a little hesitant. There's a mistake you only got to make once. But I followed his instructions. I clicked and opened the picture, and I saw this. And immediately, I went back to the 7-year-old version of myself. I'm like, oh my God, it's Balloon. It's my name. And he writes underneath the picture, he says, this is the smallest one. I can make him 50 feet tall. I can make him 100 feet tall. Just let me know how big you need it. What do you think I did? I thought about it. But it's like, I don't think this would travel very well. So I couldn't necessarily set it up. So instead of buying it, because as cool as it would be, and they're expensive, because I mean, it's art, it's beautiful. I couldn't afford to landscape my entire house with balloon animals and architecture. So instead of paying him the thousands of bucks, I just tell his story all the time. I tell everyone about it. Who's telling people about you? The last time you emailed someone you met at a networking event, did they tell thousands of people around the world? Because that's what I'm doing for Sammy. What he did was demonstrate a valid reason for his persistence. What else did he do in that moment in that email? Connected. What else did he do? Every other person I met may or may not have sent an email, but he did something different. He was visible among everyone else. He also, within that email, did something specific. Made an impression, personalized it. He essentially gave me a gift, because I'm sure he's very fast, and that didn't take a lot of time for him to do, but I'm sure that took 20 minutes, half hour, an hour, I don't know. That's valuable for him. That's his billable time. And he gave a gift to a complete stranger. So there's a book called The Gift. How many of you have not read The Gift by Lewis Hyde? Buy this book tonight. It's called The Gift. Lewis Hyde is written a long time ago, 25 years ago. And it talks about what a gift really is. It talks about the history of gift and how it plays out in a business sense, how it plays out in our lives. And what Sammy J did, this gift that he gave me, it was this moment. It was kind of an act. It was kind of a moment. And what he did is he changed that interaction with the two of us. He brought his humanity to the moment. That's what a gift is. That's what Lewis Hyde defines it as, bringing your humanity to the moment. Or in that case, bringing my humanity to the moment because it was my name. That's a gift. And the easy thing for us to assume is, well, with clients and prospects that we got to follow up with, or contractors, like, oh, I don't know. I don't really think they want to hear from me. On my CRM system, Post-it notes, I have a list of all these people that I got to follow up with that I hope will work together. They want to hire me. And I'm always like, they don't want to hear from me. And I realize that's exactly right. They don't. They don't want to hear from us. They want to hear about them. So what could we do? What gift could we give them that makes us the answer to something, that makes it about them? We were talking about this a little bit earlier. We were talking about blogging and using online platforms to solve some of these problems. And if you think about it, that's the goal. We need to be the answer to something. How many of you guys are big NBA fans? Cool. So you know, in NBA, one of the greatest nicknames of all time is Allen Iverson. What's his nickname? The Answer. This is like can you imagine if that was your name? I am the Answer. That's like the most grandiose, ridiculous, awesome thing. Because the Sixers, I read this article on Wikipedia, because you know that's true, and it said that he was the answer because it was the answer to a championship, the answer to getting butts in the seats. That was like their whole thing. Turns out he was kind of the answer for something else, but he was marketed as that, and I thought that was like a cool thing. What if we could be the answer? So that's your next exercise. I want you to be